Guess who's back? Back again. It's been 2 weeks. So Anbernic has another XX. That was a cover of my favorite song by Donnie Grangle. Name of Guess Who's Back. We have the CubeXX. Mine came in this snazzy case. And it's obviously the white colorway. And it's also obviously very beautiful. It's a white on white. You got white buttons, white sticks, white D-pad, white everything except for the screen. This is the RG CubeXX. Apparently, almost certainly inspired by my best friend, Russell Decor. This is the latest in the H700 line. It's obviously modeled after the RG Cube. It's basically the same exact size. It brings a beautiful 4-inch, actually it's 3.95 inches I think, 1x1 screen to the budget XX line. We know what the H700 can do by now, so we know we're going to max out at some N64, some PSP, nothing new there. This one in particular has a 3800 milliamp hour battery, so they're saying it'll get you 6 hours. We'll see. Probably a little bit less than that. The handheld itself, it's almost identical to the RG Cube, except it has D-pad on top. I don't know, depends on what your orientation and your preference is, but D-pad on top, and you're missing the Android buttons. You just have a dedicated menu button here. Another quick comparison is the RGB30, which obviously, this was the first 1x1 retro handheld. We saw this almost a year and a half ago now, and it was pretty good for what it is, but now we have this new RG CubeXX. We have triggers on top. These are just buttons. They don't appear to be analog at all, but they do have a nice texture to them. You have your power, your volume, a single USB-C, what appears to be a reset button, and a HDMI out port on top. Pretty slick. Nothing on the side. On the front, you have your D-pad on top. You have your old style sticks. Unfortunately, these are the old sticks with cardinal snapping, all the normal issues. Unfortunate, but it is a budget model. Hopefully they burn out what remaining stock they have left of these and go to the new sticks, but You have what appears to be dual firing speakers on the bottom, headphone jack on the bottom, I like that, and 2 SD ports. It is unfortunate that these are the old sticks, but hopefully that can get fixed with a little bit of custom firmware. Actually, talking about custom firmware, let's see if it runs custom firmware. Now, just for yucks, I put the bananas version of MuOS in here. I'm gonna turn it on, see if it'll even boot. Probably won't. Oh, so it boots. It just does not know how to handle the screen. I didn't expect anything less. I just wanted to check. This 1x1 screen hasn't been seen before in this H700 line, so obviously none of your custom firmware is going to work immediately out of the box. But all they really have to do is adjust for the screen size, and that should be a pretty easy fix. So mine came with this 32 gig SD card, and kind of interestingly, it didn't have any ROMs on it, like at all, which I don't know if this is like a one-off odd situation, but it had all the folders on it. So I grabbed an SD card from a different H700 that had a bunch of the ROMs on it. I plugged that in there. I'm using this little spudger because these are pretty deep. I can't get it with my fingernails. My fingernails aren't exactly long, so maybe that's just a me issue. But anyway, I put the second SD card on there, and it opened up fine, recognized everything. So I don't know if it's a one-off that Anbernic just shipped me a 32 gig card that didn't have anything, but it had the file structure, or if that's just the way things are with, you know, all these lawsuits. We'll see. We will see as other reviewers get these if I just got a weird card or if that's just kind of the way Anbernic is doing stuff now. But all that being said, the stock experience is actually pretty good. Stock is your only bet right now, but give it a couple weeks and your favorite H700 line custom firmware will probably, not guaranteed, but probably be ported over to this. The MuOS and the Newly scenes are pretty active. Some might say hyperactive, but we always have vitamin R to help us with our hyperactivity. So you got your game rooms, your RA game, App Center, favorites, what you would normally expect, except the front end is a lot more polished. Press the menu button, get to your settings. You don't have to go dig around for it. You have your LED settings for your joystick. You can change always, breathing, different speeds of breathing. Simulator phantom, I don't know what that does. Double joystick chasing. Oh, look, it follows it around. You can actually see the 8-way snapping when you spin that around. That's kind of funny. Got monochromatic rainbow. That's way too fast. Can I adjust the speed of it? Ugh. Multicolored rainbow. We're going to go simulator phantom just because I like the way that sounds. You can adjust your brightness all the way from max to min, whatever. So the big question I always get with these H700 units is why? Right? Everyone says, why are you making so many, Anbernic? Just make one really good one. But I actually land on the whole variety is the spice of life side of that fight because I like options. More options, in my opinion, is always better. And depending on the price of this, we don't know the price. We haven't been able to verify it. I'm probably the first person to get one of these, so the price will probably leak out in the next couple of days. I would assume between 60 and 70, but if it is 60 to $70, this could probably just outright destroy the RGB30. Just in my, brief couple hours I've spent with this so far, it has already shown itself to be significantly more comfortable and ergonomic than just this rounded off rectangle brick that was the RGB30. It also has that RGB lighting if you like. I don't know, it's not my jam, but it is some people's jam. Obviously with this 1-to-1 screen ratio, you're going to be dominating Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Gear, anything that was originally 1-to-1 or 10-to-9. As we've seen in my earlier cube aspect ratio video, this is also ideal for 4x3 stuff because you can scale it to 8x7. So all your home consoles that this thing can play comfortably, and of course, some of your arcade stuff we're going to show on here. So basically for all your 1x1 content and your 4x3 content, this is going to be just exquisite. And with this 4-inch, 3.95, but 4-inch screen, you're going to get a lot of real estate. So right out of the box, we're running firmware version 1.01. Ooh, it's obviously a new firmware because it came out 5 days ago, but it also tells you your model, your kernel version, your available memory, all that stuff. It's just a brand new, further developed firmware. Everything is just polished. It just looks more polished, it feels more polished, and Anbernic just really continues to improve on their stock experience. Another amazing thing that the stock gives you right out of the box is that pretty much every system that's playable in here has presets for box art, for vertical mode, for arcade games. It has bezels for your 4x3 and your 1x1 stuff, and it's all just set up for you. And we're going to show you here right now. So this bezel you have on here, you lose a little bit of the real estate, and you can always go into the settings and turn it off and manually configure it. And if you want to know how to do that, please refer back to my earlier cube video. I have great ratios for pretty much every system this thing can run. But if you're a brand new user right out of the box, it just works. It just works right out of the box. Turn that down a little bit. So if you just bought this on Amazon or on AliExpress or TikTok store or something, unboxed it, you have your bezels set up, you have the aspect ratio set up for you, you have all this cool stuff set up for you, and you don't have to touch it. On the flip side of that, if you are more of a hobbyist, a tinkerer, you can always turn it off, you can set it up yourself, you can expand this to be the full 10x9 experience. But I tell you what, for someone right out of the box, or you buy this for someone as a gift, it really simplifies the amount of messing around you have to do before you just hand this to someone as a gift. I think that's pretty cool. I strongly encourage Anbernic in making their stock firmware as accessible and user-friendly as possible. And then if you want to go crazy, then you go Newly or MuOS or Garlic or anything that's out there. Heck, Gary, let's play some games. This super vertical arcade mode with the bezels on the side, I love it. Sorry, Gary.
Get ready for the next battle.
Okay. Genryu, is that like Japanese Gary? Get dunked on, Genryu. PSP on here works, but it's not gonna be great on this screen. It's what'd I say? It's suboptimal. Well, Gary, it's time for what did we learn? And we learned that the RG CubeXX is the latest H700 handheld from Anbernic. At this point, I am relatively sure they are cursed, and if they don't release a handheld every 2 weeks, they're all going to turn into monkeys or fruit bats. I don't know, something like that. However, I still think you, the consumer, benefit because you get options. Vertical stand, get the RG40XXV. You love GBA, get the 35XX SP. I just happen to have it here. Horizontal gal, get the RG35 or 40XXH. You got a lot of options for a budget price. And if you're a 1x1 person or you've slowly been converted like I have, this beautiful 4-inch-ish screen is very, very nice. It's vibrant. The colors pop. It's an excellent screen, 720p, and oh, by the way, it happens to be a 1x1 ratio. There's only one last thing we really have to answer, and that's price. And I gotta be honest, I don't know yet. We can assume anywhere between $60 to $70 plus shipping. It'll probably be closer to $60 when it first drops, and then eases into $70 as you go on. But these things always go on sale. Anbernic has sales all the time. Veterans Day is coming up. They normally have an 11/11 sale. $60 to $70 is kind of close to the RGB30, at least on some storefronts. And when you hit that sub $75 price point, then you really have a modern challenger to the RGB30. And oh, by the way, a challenger that also has multiple custom firmware options in active development for the rest of the line. Now, custom firmware won't work on this because I might be the first Westerner to get my hands on this. So, people haven't had a chance to adapt it to the screen, but it's coming. It's coming. And I will be glad to see MuOS or MinUI or even Newly on something like this with this beautiful 4-inch screen. Will this be the last H700 handheld? Almost certainly not. Will this be my last video? Also, no. So all the zoo haters out there, I'm sorry. If you're the opposite of a hater and you actually like our videos and you want to see more of them, you want to see more in-depth coverage with the RG CubeXX and all the other stuff coming out as we get closer to Christmas, then remember to like and subscribe and ring the bell, all that jazz, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye!